Hello everyone, welcome back to Bits and Bobs Divination. My name is Caitlin and today we're going to be looking into the large snapshot of the next 6 months for you, as well as a yes or no question to answer. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so welcome back my beautiful kindred spirits and anyone new who may be joining us here today, as we are going to be doing one of my favorite videos to do, a 6-month reading now that we're halfway through the year. And this reading is going to really give us an expansive viewpoint. As I go into within the piles, this is going to be very malleable, so it's definitely open to change, and is definitely just a snapshot and a tool for you to use moving forward. But if you want to stay up to date with the next 6 months moving forward, you can do that by subscribing to the channel, as I put out new readings every single Monday, and I have over 100 videos that you can check out already on my channel. But as we move through the next 6 months, I do monthly readings at the beginning of each month. So that's a great way to stay up to date on this energy as it continues to move forward. So with that all said, we're going to be doing that yes or no question, and we're going to look at these piles here in a second. But if you would like to support this channel even further, especially if you've been here for a while and you'd like to, definitely feel free to check out the Kindred tip jar down below. It's a great way to support this space and how I can really uplift it with new decks and supplies moving forward. I definitely have my eyes on some new ones for you all. But you can also check out the snail mail readings that I do, and I'd love to do some more digital readings too, so feel free to email me or DM me if that's something you're interested in. I would love to hear your thoughts. But all of the offerings that I have moving forward will be down below in the description. So thank you to everyone who supported this space, and we'll look at these piles here. So for pile number 1, we have this piece of obsidian. It is in a cube shape with these little corners to each of them that are kind of beveled. It's very shiny, very smooth, and very glass-like. So that is pile number 1. For group 2 here, we have this piece of Labradorite. It has this very shiny piece of it, as well as on this side, which shines more of this purpley blue color. So that is pile number 2. And then last but not least, for pile number 3, we have this piece of black tourmaline. It's very sparkly looking, it's very hard, a very rough stone, but also one that's very cleansing. So that is pile number 3. So before you start heading off to the timestamps and seeing which pile is for you, I invite you as always to take a deep and grounding, cleansing breath here with me, to really help you make that decision. So let's go ahead and take that breath here now. And as always, there's no right or wrong way to choose your piles. You can choose 1, 2, all 3 of the piles if you'd like. You can play around and flip-flop. There really is no right or wrong way. All of the timestamps will be down below in the description, alongside the chapter marks of this video. But as I mentioned earlier, if you want to stay up to date on this energy moving forward, definitely feel free and consider subscribing. But also you can stay up to date by checking out my Instagram community, as well as it's a great way to see not only the offerings I do, not only the videos I put out, but also the magical extras that I get up to and other fun witchy things moving forward. So all of that will be down in the description. I would love to see you there as well as here moving forward if you'd like to. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started here with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose this cube of obsidian, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to set it down right here so you can see it during your reading, as we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations, as well as several different oracle decks. And the tarot deck of choice today is the Centennial edition of the Smith-Waite Tarot. I felt like doing something really rooted and grounded, and something that wouldn't get too far ahead of itself for the reading that we are doing here today. As I mentioned in the intro, this is going to be a snapshot of the next 6 months for you. So what are you going to look like 6 months from now, and how you can start to make changes from now till then. If you're looking at this snapshot and you're like, ugh, I do not want that energy, or there's certain things that you might want to change or shift or really work towards because you know they're going to be working in your favor, then this is going to be a tool for you to be able to utilize to make that happen. I don't want you to think of this as something that's set in stone, because it really really isn't. The farther we get out in a tarot reading, the more opportunities we have for things to come in to give us ways to diverge in our path, to give us new options and new doors to open. So you have new doors, you have new ways in which you can change up this energy, and I don't want you to feel like this is going to be all it will ever be 6 months from now. So keeping that in mind, let's go ahead and get started looking into your next 6 months and where you'll be heading energetically. So we're going to look into 5 cards for this one and really look into those details and look even further from even stuff from advice from your future self. So let's go ahead and get started. Feel free to send your energy in. That's really helpful to root you into this reading, and we'll start flipping some cards out. So let's go. The next 6 months. Who, what, where are you going to be 6 months from now? What is the energy most apparent 6 months from now? Okay, so first off, we had the 3 of Cups showing up. So there is a lot of community, friendship, kindred, spirit kind of communities showing up here for you. There's also the Page of Wands as well. A lot of creative, adventurous energies. Slightly naive, but a lot of fun too. I'm feeling like there's some social, not necessarily partying, but it kind of like social gatherings, that kind of thing is showing up for me here for you. But let's look a little bit further so we can get more information on that. So group one, what else do you have coming in energetically 6 months from now for you moving into this new space? Okay, so we also have the King of Pentacles. I'm feeling this one as well. Okay, so we have the King of Pentacles. And then I was also feeling this 7 of Pentacles right next to it. I feel like these are kind of together and these are kind of together. That coloration even is coming through with that. But I want to get our last card here before I start talking into the rest of it. But that 7 of Swords definitely is giving another narrative. And then we have the King of Swords. Okay, so we have some communication or miscommunication that's coming in possibly within your career or your job over the next few months, at that 6 month period, because when I look at the 7 of Swords, the 7 of Swords usually showcases, as you can see, sort of, you can imagine these swords were like stored in this tent, and this person is sort of running away with them, trying to get away with something, trying to kind of work around or manipulate the situation in which there's really only 2 swords there. You know, this can be speaking to gaslighting, this could be speaking to half-truths, weaseling into a situation, and it might have to pertain to a job or something that's very much physical. So within getting a new home, something that you want to be more abundant in from here till the future. So if you have something physically that you're trying to bring about, whether it's physically in terms of your body, whether it's physically in terms of a apartment that you're trying to manifest, or a new job, career path, things like that, whatever it may be in that sort of zone, it's making sure that you're really honest with your employers, honest with yourself, honest with what it is that you actually want, because there might be something right now that you're thinking that you need, but you actually, when you look at it more truthfully, more honestly, you actually have something else in mind. Or that is going to be the shift that we're seeing here, that there's something that's going to shift there, because either you don't have the full information because someone hasn't given it to you yet, or 6 months from now you're going to realize that might not have been the path you actually wanted to take, that it might have been something else. So when it comes to over these next 6 months, when it comes to those physical things, job, career, house, your body, physical health, those sorts of things, if there's something within that you're already having something that you want to manifest within the next 6 months, you have a goal towards, you want something, it's making sure you're very honest, very clear with the people that you're communicating with to make that happen, including yourself. Because we also have the King of Swords, and the King of Swords showcases that as well. They're a great communicator, a great planner, and they really make sure that they are very clear and concise when it comes to when they're speaking to another person, not necessarily in a cold way or a harsh way, but just very direct, very honest, very, we're not cutting circles or trying to play around with what you actually mean. So that's what I'm really getting here, is to be direct with your communication when it comes to those things that you're trying to manifest. On the other hand, when it comes to other things that are showing up, and just in general, this is kind of a full thread throughout everything, that clear communication. Because you also have wanting to be maybe more clear with yourself over these next 6 months, to make sure that with your friends and your friendships and those kindred people who you know, party with or go out with or have social events with, whomever you feel like that might be happening within these next 6 months, or even if you can think of specifically 6 months from now who those people might be, there could be a opportunity to be more adventurous with these people, to be more open, to be more honest, to be more vulnerable even. So you can see how that applies to your situation. But outside of that, I feel like 6 months from now, you're going to be wanting to step into some new shoes, some new playful, adventurous things just for yourself, outside of career, outside of friendship circles, outside of like the bigger parts of life. I think you might just want to start traveling 6 months from now, or within these 6 months to start traveling, to start heading on some sort of new adventure for yourself. That can be like physically traveling, but I am getting also this feeling to just like check out your local places to go to, like going to a new like hot spot in your local area that might be showing up. So a new restaurant, a new arcade, a new place that you could go to, a new like amusement park, however it may be. But there's definitely an entertainment aspect to this, or a feeling of just like wanting to feel that fiery, fun energy of just getting out. So I'm getting that as well, is to be more social, to be more active in a social space with other people in a way that feels comfortable to you as well, though, because we do have that King of Pentacles, which is about comfort and being in a place of comfort. And I think that's really important to you 6 months from now as well, is to create a place that feels comfortable and feels more authentically you. Like you're not wanting to go in on these new adventures for other people. It's because it's literally something you've actually been wanting and been seeking out, because we're not trying to bring in that untruthful energy, right? So with all of your cards here, I want to look a little bit further as always, and we're going to pull a card here to look into a bigger main energy, maybe to see the bigger thread between all of these and how they're really connecting. So let's see like that bigger, like kind of big bang energy showing up here for you over the next 6 months, that 6-month snapshot. What do we have showing up here for you? So we have inspiration. Totally makes sense with that Page of Wands. The Page of Wands can also, outside of adventure, it can also talk about being more creative, being more ingenuitive, wanting to get a little bit more inspired by the world. I feel like there have been, maybe you've just been sort of having this cabin fever feeling, you've been kind of having to stay in a lot more, maybe not been as close to those friendship circles. And this is kind of giving you that inspiration to do so. And I feel like even your future self is like kind of urging you to try that out, to be more inspired by the things that really like touch your heart, that really give you that inspiration, to go within, find what inspires you around life, or find it outside of yourself and really bring it back in. It's kind of like a give and take kind of feeling, like you go out to the world, you see something, you take it back in, you get inspired to create, and that cycle continues. And I feel like over the next 6 months, you're going to have that inspired feeling, inspired within your job, inspired within your friends, inspired within these new creative aspects that you might be going and adventuring out into. And that's sort of the thread between it all, is to continue to be inspired by life and continue to follow that inspiration, and not just follow the directed path that maybe society might be telling you need to follow, a script you need to follow, and instead follow your heart and what really inspires you to move forward, which is easier said than done. But I'm not really seeing a lot in your path to tell you not otherwise than your own mindset. So keeping that in mind, let's move on to your next card. So for this one, I want to pull specifically from the Sea Melodies deck. This one always makes me think of like being in the sea and having that compass. So I feel like over these next 6 months, what does your future self 6 months from now want to kind of give you as a compass, as a direction moving forward? So let's see what that compass is for you 6 months from now. Group 1, the compass showing up for you 6 months from now. Group 1. Okay, so we have communicate. Like I said, communication is coming in here quite heavily with the King of Swords, that 7 of Swords energy. You have a lot showing up with that communication, and communicating more boldly and more honestly is showing up here as well. It says communicate. Things left unsaid will never reach the shore. So if there's something that you want to do with your friends, you want to hang out with your friends, this can be family members as well. That's just what's coming through the most. Or within even yourself, communicating to yourself in a mirror, communicating what you really want to the universe, however you may see it, whoever it is you are communicating with at any given time over these next 6 months. But if you don't say what you really mean, then people aren't going to pick up on what you really mean. It has to be direct, it has to be honest to be able to get where you actually want to go. So that's what I'm getting here as a compass of advice for you from your future self, is to really communicate your needs and communicate them directly and honestly. And sometimes that also means you need to communicate with yourself so that you know what those needs even are, because sometimes we're not even aware of what our needs are until it's too late. So that's something else, to be more self-aware of your needs. So we're going to go ahead and get your last 2 cards here. We're using the Seed and Sickle Oracle, but if you are enjoying this reading so far, definitely be sure to give this video a like and let me know through that, or through a comment, subscribing, any of that kind of stuff. I would love to be here for more of your readings even over these next 6 months. But then we'll be pulling your watercolor affirmation, the charms, and if you haven't already, start maybe even thinking about what that yes or no question will be, as we'll be doing that charm cast here at the end. So for these ones, I wanted to do something a little bit special. So we're going to pull 1 card for something that your future self from 6 months from now, if you follow this path and these things go on, what is something that they wish you to avoid or to release during this time, and something that they are thankful and grateful for you having done. So let's look first into what to avoid or be cautious of. All right, so we have the sickle, and it says the number 54 at the very bottom. The sickle is, like I said, this is the Seed and Sickle Oracle. So this is sort of the very, very end of the deck, and this is when you've gone through everything and you've hit the end of it. This is when you're ready to end a cycle. So this is what I'm thinking is right now, they're kind of giving you a caution to not just look at these cards and think that this isn't possible for you, not just looking at them and kind of just thinking, oh, well, this would be cool, but I already have something, cut it off. Oh, but I'd love to do that, cut it off. And I'm getting this feeling that you're almost wanting to like self-sabotage the future that you could have, and that it is really bright, that there is beautiful things to look for, there are things to be grateful for. And if you cut off the inspiration, if you cut off the things that are going to not only inspire you, but also give you hope, that give you support, that's going to kind of squish, or what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of scrunch up and squash what you could have. You know what I mean? It's kind of creating like a bubble around you that's, yes, it might protect you from the things that could go wrong, but it's also leaving no room for any of those things to go right. So that's what I'm getting here from the sickle. But let's look at the things that your future self would be grateful for and thankful for and would like to thank you for moving forward over these next 6 months. So what would they be thankful for you having done over these next 6 months? Your future self thankful for. Okay. All right, so we have lavender. So for lavender, it is in the summer suit. This one is in the winter suit, by the way. This is in the suit of summer. It is the number 16, in case that resonates, and it also is lavender. And lavender is, as we all know, very soothing, very calming, but it also is a scent that a lot of people would put on to feel calmed when it comes to like stepping into very difficult situations, or situations in which they're like a little bit anxious or nervous to step into. So if you're a little bit nervous, I mean, the Page of Wands is as adventurous as they are. Sometimes they head straight into things because they don't want their nerves to take over or hold them back. And like I said, there is that nervous energy. So I do feel like your future self is thanking you for stepping into that energy anyway, and finding ways to feel comfortable in doing so. So if there's things about this, trying to make new friends, trying to create beautiful connections with them, stepping out into a new career path or a new job or whatever it may be, that's kind of feeling like you're wanting to hold yourself back from already, you're kind of getting this feeling, or what I'm getting is this feeling of stepping into it with a way that makes you feel comfortable. So maybe looking into your wardrobe, looking into the things you could wear physically that would make you feel more comfortable stepping into these situations, things that you could physically do, or saying affirmations, getting yourself prepared and ready before doing so that you don't feel as nervous or out of whack in doing so. So that's what I'm kind of getting here with the lavender, finding ways to make yourself feel more comfortable in more difficult or unsettling situations that you might be stepping into, and that they really thank you for doing so. So let's go ahead and pull your last few things here before I speak too long here, and then we will do your charms. There's lots to talk about within a 6-month period. So let's see your affirmation. All right, so it fell over here by the sickle. And it says 2 sides to every coin. And I feel like this is giving me, again, that feeling or that same expression of energy that is, it's very easy to just cut something off. But with every decision that you make, you have 2 different ways you could go, right? You could cut it yourself off from all of this that is being offered to you, or you have the other side of the coin that things could go well, right? It's that what if situation in our heads. What if everything doesn't work out? What if I can't make friends? What if I can't get into the career? What if I don't communicate? All those sorts of things. But what if you can? What if you can step into those things? What if you do feel comfortable enough to? What if you do feel inspired enough by life to do so? What if can go both ways. So the way you communicate to yourself will also be very important. So we're going to go ahead and pull your charms here, and then we will do your yes or no question. So feel free to send your energy in, and we'll get those last little bits and bobs details for your next 6 months and the energy coming in. Take 1. Right. Not too many. Like, honestly, I kept feeling like I was going to pick it up, and then I would drop them again and pick them up and then drop them again. So there's really not too much here. What we have showing up near communicate and lavender is the sort of, I always think of this as like a crustacean in some way, like a shell or something really hard and difficult to get into, some sort of fortitude feeling. And so again, this is also maybe having like what you wear be sort of a suit of armor for you to feel like you can go into this new space, feeling more connected with that like battle self of yourself, however that feels for you, feeling more protected in doing so, and more protected to communicate more honestly. The other things that we had show up is the golden like golden star. So I always think of this as like getting a gold star, or feeling like, you know, you could get 5 stars out of a situation. And so that's what I've already been talking about with that sickle, right? That things could actually go really good. And what I think is what is important is knowing that even though we're looking at all of this as a snapshot, as a tool, a lot of this is still obviously unknown. Even after watching all this, it's still unknown. This is the dark matter unknown charm, things outside of our control, things we don't know everything about. And so again, we don't know what those what ifs will give us, but we do know that if we don't move at all, then we'll just stay stagnant regardless. So again, there's 2 sides to that coin. So moving forward, those are all of your charms and cards. I'll go ahead and zoom it out so you can see a little bit again if you want to pause. But we're going to go ahead and move on to your yes or no question and finish off your reading. All right, so we have everything set up here for your yes or no question that you can send in and start thinking of now, or pausing and thinking of now for your yes or no question, for something that you might want to think about for these next several months, something that you might want to be thinking about in that kind of way. Again, this is a tool, a snapshot, and a collective message, so take it how it resonates. But let's go ahead and start looking into your yes or no question, and the answer for the yes or no question collectively for group 1 is no. Okay, so we have no. This is also more close to maybe than it is to better. So this is sort of giving me that this isn't a complete no. It wasn't like smack dab in the middle. There is still wiggle room here for you to play around with, and that's something to keep in mind as well. But that is the answer for you. As always, yes or no questions, they can go either way. So for some of you, depending on how you framed your question, a no might be really great, or vice versa. So do let me know how you enjoyed the reading down below. I would love to hear your thoughts, and also be sure to give this video a like, as I mentioned earlier. And if you want to stay tuned even further into these next 6 months, I put out new readings every single Monday, and every single month I put out a monthly reading as well into the month's energy and how you can work with it. So if that's something you're interested in, if you want to stay in the loop with the energy that's already coming in and how you can continue to move forward these next 6 months, then definitely feel free and continue to watch through subscribing. I have lots of videos you can check out already on there as well. And if you'd like to check out getting a private reading, if you want to look even further into this, or you want to look at a month-to-month snapshot, that's something I can do through a snail mail reading if that's something you're interested in as well, where I send it to you in the mail. It's typewritten, it's international as well, and a lot of fun. So definitely feel free to check that out down below, alongside the other offerings and ways in which you can support this channel through the Kindred tip jar and others. And I'm wishing you the best over your next 6 months, and I hope this reading was useful to you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Hello Group 2, if you've decided to choose this piece of Labradorite, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it down right here so you can see it during your reading today, as we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations, as well as several different oracle decks, which I'll have all of this listed in the description down below. And the tarot deck of choice today is the Smith-Waite Centennial Edition. So this is going to be a reading, as I mentioned, on your next 6 months, but this is going to be a snapshot. So if you continue to go down the same path and things that you are already wanting to manifest, already have plans for, or just energetically are heading towards over the next 6 months, this is where you will kind of land, and the energy is coming through. But I do want you to know that the farther we get out in a tarot reading, the more time and more space that we put in between you and the future, the more opportunities you have to change, to deviate, to shift your path. And so I want you to use this more as a tool, to look into the snapshot and see the things that you could change within these next 6 months. Start using it as a tool to shift or to keep on path for, and less of something that feels daunting or scary, like, oh, I don't want that energy, like, I don't want to be heading towards that 6 months from now. How do I change that? It's not stagnant, it's not stuck. It is still very fluid, like working with clay. It's not completely solid yet. So use this more as a tool, and see how it comes through for you. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Feel free to send your energy. That really helps, especially as we're heading deeper into your energetic space here for your reading. So feel free to send your energy in and get settled and comfortable. And we'll go ahead and look first into 5 cards, because I really want to look at a deep snapshot into your next 6 months. So energetically, what is coming in most 6 months from now? Your 6 month future snapshot and future self coming through here. So let's see, we first off have the Ace of Cups. Very lovely, very fulfilling to start out with. Such a great card. It also does talk about an opportunity for a new beginning as well within these next 6 months, for more emotional growth, more self-awareness even. And then I was also feeling this card that was sticking out too. Okay, so we also have the World showing up here. The World also talks about, where this one talks about new beginnings, this also talks about wrapping up loose ends, kind of celebrating an end of a cycle, being ready to kind of finish something off and finish off those loose ends. So there might be something completing or coming to completion over these next 6 months as well, to give you the opportunity for this new beginning to grow and to flourish as it is. So, okay, we've got one already flying out. I feel like there's another one. There we go. And then we'll look for one more as well. So we also have the Tower. Okay, so this might be the catalyst to needing this change to come through for this opportunity, because the Tower usually talks about things that are outside of our control, where the World is more of letting closed doors close because they're in our control. So there might be a little bit of both happening here, both you allowing this resolution to come in, as well as outward things outside of your control making it happen, and kind of moving you forward as well. because we also have this mental shift that's happening with the Six of Swords, and the Six of Swords can talk about a physical shift, but also just mentally shifting your mind and changing your mind on something because of this big Tower moment. So let's see if there's any more information on this Tower moment and what it relates to. All right, so we don't have too much coming in here because it's kind of guarded off, because we have here the very guarded card of the Nine of Wands, a very protected, self-protection kind of energy. It kind of makes me think of like a bunch of people taking like pitchforks and like torches down a road to try, and you're kind of like boarding yourself off from that energy, boarding yourself off from anyone getting in your space. So there is a protective energy from this new beginning, but also an opportunity to change. And I feel like you right now maybe are already knowing that and sensing this change. Maybe you already know what has happened with this Tower moment, maybe possibly having to do with a current relationship you're in, or even it could go many different ways. We don't have anything here talking about career though, so I'm not really getting that it's a career message. I'm not really getting that it has something to do with career or job or finances, physical health, anything like that. It seems to be a very big mental shift, like an aha moment that you get hit in the head with kind of feeling is what I'm getting here. That's going to really wrap things up and change things that you've been feeling a bit apprehensive to change for quite a while. Maybe it's about allowing yourself to open up to a new opportunity within love, within comfort, within growth, emotionally, because this is also giving you the opportunity for new friendships, for new relationships, both platonic, familial, even within romance. So this could go many different ways, but I'm sure you guys are already probably getting a feeling of which way that might be. And if not, then it's just allowing yourself to be more open to whatever that might be, to opening your eyes to that versus boarding yourself off from it. And like I said, you're going to also be closing off some loose ends. So that could be within career. I'm getting more of that, the loose ends having to do more of a career message there. And then with this Tower moment, like I said, it could be it feels like an aha moment and something that like will hit you in the shower, or like while you're out and about somewhere, or someone's going to say something to you and you're going to be like, wait, what? I hadn't ever thought about it that way. And it just changes your whole perspective quite suddenly on the foundations and the things that you've been building. So these could be foundations within your like, I feel like it's something that's not specific. Like, I don't think I can specify that it's going to be within career, or specify if it's going to be within love, or specify if it's going to be within something just very specific to you, I think is what it's going to be. It's something that I couldn't even, it's so unpredictably unpredictable, this moment, this aha moment, that what it relates to isn't as much of an importance, because that's not coming through. What's important is that it's going to give you the information to move forward, because maybe you were stuck before, maybe those closed ends, maybe you're at an end to something and you're like, well, where am I supposed to go now? That's going to give you more direction is what I'm getting here, because before you were feeling kind of stagnant or stuck. So keeping that in mind, let's move a little bit further forward within these 6 months. Not necessarily time-wise, but specifically into another card. So this is going to be sort of the thread to all of this. So this might give us those big moments, like maybe some more information on this, but it might just give us some more energy in general. So feel free, as always, to send your energy in. We're going to look into that biggest thread, the biggest energy, the big bang energy over these next 6 months to look into and look forward to. So interesting that you got animals. Was not expecting that. Animals are usually making me think of signs and signals. Again, we have a lot happening within that mental space. Even with the Nine of Wands, they've kind of got like this little bandaged area on their head, which is making me think again that they're feeling, and you might be feeling right now, sort of stuck, and that's what's going to change the most. And the animal message that I'm getting here is just like animals to really sense into that and listen into that, and that it's going to be very wild. I guess that's what I'm getting most from this. It's going to be a very wild ride, and to kind of lean into that wildness, that nature, and this new foundation that you're going to be building with someone or with something could be. So that's what I'm getting. It feels like a wild card, literally, and it's not something you can tame. Or if it is, it's going to, just like a tamed animal, it's going to feel boxed in and trapped. And I think that your future self doesn't want to feel boxed in or trapped. And to be able to do that, it means you need to tie up those loose ends, or rather cut some of those loose ends, and give yourself more of that freedom for this change. So that feels really empowering, really powerful, coming from this animal card. So definitely feel free to really look into that, see if there's a specific animal popping out to you, or over these next 6 months listening to those animal messages to see where that wild side is coming through. So let's look a little bit further. This time we're going to be using the Sea Melodies Oracle, and this is going to give us like a compass. So if your future self could give you a compass to sort of have more of a heading to move forward with, this is the card that they would give you as a compass. So let's see what that energy is from your future self 6 months from now. What compass would they give you for a heading moving forward? Group 1. As always, send your energy in. It always makes a difference. So, okay, you got ambition. With that wild nature and ambition, set your sights beyond the horizon, set your sights beyond what you've seen before, that wild new nature of it all. That's definitely coming in. We've got ambition. You're going to have quite a shakeup is what I'm getting from your cards. Wildness, a shakeup, shaking up the foundations of the things that have always been kind of built around you. And that is scary. I'm not going to say that is an easy message always, but it does give you so many more opportunities than you had before. It gives you new places to grow, so much more space to expand. So thinking of it in that way, I really love that for you with this ambition, and to set your sights a little bit farther beyond the horizon than you've ever seen before. Which is why I said, like, I feel like it might be hard to give us that, like, what it is, because it's probably going to be something that you're not going to be able to figure out now, even if I gave you the information, because it's something that's so wild and so beyond you, and evolved beyond you, your evolved self, that you're not going to be able to pinpoint it, even if I told you. So I'm getting that for you, for your compass card. But let's move on to your next two. And these are the two I'm very excited for. I find these really interesting. So honing in on more of that future you self from 6 months in the future, I want them to sort of send forward a message for something to be cautious of, to release or to let go of, and then to look into a card of something that they're very grateful and thankful for you having done over these next 6 months. So these are the things to maybe sort of look out for, and then the things to be really embracing. So let's go ahead and head into those two. But if you are enjoying this reading so far, definitely be sure to give this video a like. It really does help the channel so much. So thank you to everyone who has so far. And as always, at the end or throughout, definitely feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below. I love hearing the different things that you guys come up with within these readings and how your own intuition plays around with it. But with that all said, let's go ahead and look into those two. So first off, what is your future self wanting you to be cautious of, or to release and let go of? Possibly with those loose ends even, for you, group 2. Okay, so first off we have Asphodel, and this is the number 30. It's also in the fall suit. So fall being letting go, and those leaves, letting go of those leaves. So it definitely feels more like those loose ends. And what I'm getting from these, and your entire pile has a lot to do with that, using your own intuition with this. It's almost like your future self really wants you to get more wildly into that psychic self, and letting yourself get into that. So I definitely encourage you to look into the imagery and see what comes through for you. Maybe birds or specific things are coming through, and to listen to them, because what it is telling you to be cautious of is, or rather to smell. It's really connected to like your smell intuitively. So if you feel like you're constantly smelling the same things, you're going to the same places, and really having that sort of scent, and it even has that animalistic kind of scent feeling, right? Like animals know the home ground that they've always been in by their scent, and the places that they've been. So it's kind of making sure to be cautious that you're not staying in those same home grounds, that you're not staying in those same home circles, those places you've always been, and reaching a little bit farther. And for some of you, that might be a lot farther, and for others of you, it might be just stepping, 1 block down than you've normally been. But that's what I'm getting here, is to step out of that. And that's sort of the advice, to avoid staying in those home grounds, because they're ready to shake up and move regardless. So let's see your next card here. So this one is going to be from your future self for what to embrace, and that they're going to be very thankful and grateful of you for. So I don't know, maybe we should go with this one, honestly. It fell right out, so let's go ahead and see what that has to say. That doesn't normally happen, so I'm going to just take it. So we have the number 5, which is about change. The number 5 is the number of change, and it also is in the spring suit. So where we're going from the fall, kind of sticking to the things that are kind of wrapping up, and having new growth come in from change is very powerful, right? And we have Buttercup, and whenever I see Buttercup, it gives me this feeling of like the saying of kind of like buck up buttercup, or those sorts of sayings, and it's kind of making me think like it's giving you a bit of encouragement. It's just, I feel like your future self just wants to thank you for being strong enough and having enough strength to step forward, to having enough strength and bravery to step forward just a little bit farther out of your comfort zone, and seeing what growth can really grow from there, because I think it's going to really flourish. And it kind of reminds me, I don't know why I got this feeling of like, you know, when people get a tattoo and they get that first tattoo and then they're addicted to it. It's like, I want my whole body covered in tattoos all of a sudden. It's like, this is that first step. And I feel like over these next 6 months, why you can't see what this is going to be, this big change, this big shakeup, is because you have to take that first step to have that whole world open for you. So that's what I'm getting there from your 2 cards here. We're going to go ahead and pull you a watercolor affirmation. Then we're going to pop your charms on top to get those last little details. And if you haven't already started thinking of your yes or no question, because we are going to be looking into a yes or no question, as I mentioned in the intro, then definitely start thinking about what that's going to be, because we're going to be doing that at the end. But let's go ahead and see your affirmation coming through for the next 6 months, group 2. The next 6 months, group 2. Oh my goodness, you've got a lot here, but I'm going to take these 2, surprisingly. I actually think I'm going to grab the 2 that were not facing up. And it says here, let's try again. So this is, again, giving yourself a little bit more freedom to try again. And then we also have each petal makes the flower, which always makes me think each like step makes the whole flower, right? So again, it's having to take more than one step to get there. So like I said, your pile is less about getting to somewhere specific and more about just allowing yourself to step out of your comfort zone. That's the biggest thing, is that I feel like your future self doesn't want to tell you the exact things that are going to happen, but more allowing the blocks to fall as they may, that you allow those domino effects to happen and see where they take you, and having the magic of that be what drives you forward. So let's look into your charms here. Feel free, as always, to send in your energy, and we'll start mixing them up for you. So here we go. Group 2, the next 6 months. Okay, not too many, a lot on this side of the board, but let's see. So what we have showing up here is we do have magic, which makes me think of, this is like the little Minnie Mouse hat, makes me think of magic, nostalgia, so making sure you're not staying in just the places that feel comfortable and nostalgic. It also makes me think like the magic of listening to your intuition on a very sensory plane. So again, those smells, not sticking to those sorts of same places, especially if you have a strong scent connected to your home space. And then we also have the nostalgia charm that comes up with this one. This makes me think of feeling clipped or stuck in a rut. It makes me feel like you've been clipped into one kind of frame of mind, and so that's coming up again for a shake-up. And then lastly here on Let's Try Again, what you had upside down, so it's saying the opposite of, is to lift the anchor. Lift what is holding you back. Lift those strings, because it's kind of holding you back from trying again. So this is your opportunity to be able to lift the anchor and sail to those new horizons. So that is what I'm getting from your charms. Oh, I just realized there's actually one left over here. So we also have here at the Ace of Cups, which is all about new beginnings, possibly in a relationship of some sort, or being more self-aware of your emotions. We have the covered wagon charm. So I always see of this as being a long journey. It's going to take a while to get there. So again, this felt like something that's happening at that 6-month mark, but all of this has to happen to get there. And so this is sort of your reward at the end of the tunnel as well. So those are all of your cards and charms here. I'll zoom it out so you can see a little bit in case you want to pause and look at them once more. But I'm going to go ahead and pick all of this up and move on to your charm cast for your yes or no reading. All right, so here we are back to do your yes or no question. So feel free to send it in. And as always, this is a tool. It is not set in stone. It is a collective message. So a lot of you are going to be sending in your answer to look into your answer. But just play around with this, see how it comes through for you. But here we go. So the collective answer for group number 2 for their yes or no question is... All right, so we got a strong yes. It flew all the way over here. We had a strong yes. It's kind of close to maybe, so there still is wiggle room there, but it is a very strong yes. So that is what you have for your yes or no question. I do hope it was useful to you. Definitely be sure, as always, to give this video a like if you did find the reading useful, and let me know in the comments down below, especially since you had such an intuitive pile. I would recommend you checking out my other videos on your psychic abilities and magical abilities if that's something you're interested in. I have 2 different ones from 2 different years if you want to look into those, or even your magical path, but you can also check out more down below on that, or by subscribing to this channel, as I put out new readings every single Monday. So if you want to stay up to date on your next 6 months, that's a great way to do so, as I put out new videos, like I said, every Monday, but also at the beginning of every month, I also put out a reading for the month. So if that's something you're interested in, to look into your monthly energies moving forward, that's a great way to stay in tune with that. So if you want to look even further, though, you can also get a private reading through a snail mail reading with me. I can look even into further details beyond collective messages. And you can also check out the Kindred tip jar down below as well, as that's a great way to uplift and support this community and keep this channel running. So thank you to everyone who has checked out all of that, checked out the offerings, subscribed, liked, commented, and all of that. And I am wishing you the best for your next 6 months, truly, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello group 3, if you've decided to choose this piece of black tourmaline, then this is the pile for you. As always, I'm going to set it down right here so you can see it during your reading, as we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations, as well as several different oracle decks, and the tarot deck of choice being the Smith-Waite Centennial Edition. I felt like I wanted to do something very grounding for this reading, and so this really fit the bill for that. All of the information on all of this will be down below in the description if you want to check that out. But before we get started, as I mentioned with the other readings and even through the intro bit, this is going to be a very open-ended reading, and the idea that the farther we get out into time and space, looking into these within a reading, the more opportunities for change you have, the more opportunities you have to diverge from this path. So this isn't set in stone. It's more like clay than it is stone, and you are able to play around with this, and it's very malleable. So using this more as a tool rather than a perfect set in stone thing, I think is going to be most useful and helpful for you moving forward, and it can even give you more information on the things that you want in the future, give you more clarity and those sorts of things. So keeping that in mind, feel free as always to get settled and get ready to go, get a cup of water, get some food, a meal, whatever you'd like. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started on your reading. Also, something to mention, feel free to keep in mind your yes or no question that we're going to be looking into as well. As I mentioned in the intro, we'll be doing a yes or no question at the end. So keeping that in mind, you can think of one as we move forward, or you might already have one in your thinking cap. So let's go ahead and get started. Feel free as always to send your energy in. It really roots this reading, and we'll get started. So group 3, what do you have coming in already off the bat? Okay, so this has been a theme for all 3 readings, and I think just by looking far ahead, it does kind of put this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's gonna happen, you know? And that's what I'm getting already off the bat, this kind of anxious, like, I'd rather stay in the comfortable space, and that's what I'm getting here from this 8 of Swords, this feeling of staying in a comfortable space, because it's easier to stay in the comfortable space than it is to move forward into something new. But let's see what else is coming through. You might surprise me. So group 3. We've got 2 more here. I want to see a little bit further. We're going to look into 5 cards today, into the snapshot of you 6 months from now. Future you 6 months from now. All right, so we also have the 10 of Swords alongside the 3 and the 8 of Pentacles here. So we have the 3 of Pentacles and the 8 of Pentacles. And then we also had in here the Lovers flip out as well. Okay, so immediately I am getting a self-sabotage kind of feeling, or a feeling of wanting something new to happen, you wanting something to change. But I do see this feeling of sort of like a back and forth. You kind of wade into the water and then you kind of like come back, and then you wade into the water and kind of come back. That's what I'm getting here from the energy of your card so far. There is this feeling of perfectionism, as the 8 of Pentacles showcases a perfectionism. The 3 also can showcase wanting to reach out and branch out more, but not knowing necessarily how to do so. So I think over the next 6 months, what I'm really getting here within your energy is that moving forward, I think it's really important for you to start to navigate seeing what it is that's holding you back. Realize what mentally is holding you back, and what physically within your life, within your career, within your friendships, family members, within these scripts that society has on us. What are these ties holding you back? And are they things that you put upon yourself? Are they things you have control over? Or are they things that are not something that are in your control? Because I think over this next 6 months, you're going to start unraveling those. And you're going to start seeing from a new point of view, because where we have these swords sort of kind of tying you down, and the swords being your thoughts, mental thoughts, or societal scripts, I'm also seeing that kind of weigh you down even further. But what I love about the 10 of Swords, as grim as it may look, there is this feeling of like, I always think of like acupuncture, right? There is this relief when you pull all of these out, this relieving feeling of finally feeling so much freer, and feeling like you can kind of rise above the adversity and the things that are holding you back. And there's this brave, courageous part of you that really wants to step into that, a part of you that really wants to rise above it. And I think there's still a choice here. Like I said, there's a malleable choice. And I think in one way, if you start heading towards the idea of this perfectionism, of this feeling like everything has to fit perfectly, everybody has to be working together perfectly, you have to be having and this is very rooted in things that are physical. So your physical health, your house, your things that you're renting, the things that you're buying, consumerism. It can also be the things that you're feeling more perfectionism in within your job and career. Those are things that I think are starting to kind of weigh on your mind and cause a lot of this perfectionism. And it's also, whenever you look at this card too, you can see them really focusing. There's this focus, this deep, intense focus to try to make everything perfect, trying to make the exact same thing, keep working. But you don't know, like right off the bat, what you might not notice is the opportunities are way behind him, because he isn't really keeping up, or he isn't really looking towards that behind him anymore. He isn't looking for the ideas of collaboration, the new ideas that could be starting to come in, and new opportunities. Because something has been working for you over these last 6 months, even prior now for you over these last 6 months, and maybe even now that you're feeling like you want to just keep with the same things that have always been working for you, because why change them? But I think there's going to be reason for that shakeup, or for that change. I don't really feel like it's going to be a super big change, but just I feel like there's subtle changes that need to happen over these next 6 months for you to feel more fulfilled. Because if you follow this perfectionism path, then that's where you're kind of going to be heading, is that the same, because it's always been working. But here we also have the Lovers. When you kind of relieve yourself from having to stick to the same thing, you're given a choice to go after the things that you actually love, that actually inspire you, that actually fill your cup, that actually give you those butterfly feelings, regardless of if it's something that's specifically to a love in your life, or to a loved one in your life, or someone who you want to manifest as a loved one in your life, romantically, platonically, familially, however you wish to see it. It doesn't have to be necessarily a relationship. It can be just your relationship with life is honestly what I'm getting. And I feel like you're giving yourself a new lease on life. You're giving yourself more opportunity to grow when you kind of move away from this idea of perfectionism and instead sort of allow yourself to relieve yourself of the things that you've been kind of tied down to for so long. You can think of these swords as being that same thing, all those swords in your back, but instead you're seeing them right in front of you and not even realizing they might be kind of boxing you in. And over here, there's so much freedom, there's so much growth, there's so much openness, and so much, yes, it can be filled with challenges to overcome, right? Like we have the mountain here, but it also does give us those abundant feelings as well. And there's a lot more opportunity for things that you love, even if it does come with the difficulties of those failures as well, or the opportunity for failure. So what I'm seeing here is, especially within career, I would say, especially within career, within physical things, like I mentioned earlier, that's where this is going to be changing up most, and that you're being given the opportunity for change within these next 6 months, to unravel some of those things that are holding you back and pushing you down and weighing you down. And that you definitely have a choice here. The Lovers does talk about choice. So this could definitely go one or two ways, and you're kind of given 2 snapshots here. So let's see the thread of it all. So let's see the thread, the thing that's kind of rooting all of this energy over the next 6 months. So group 3, what is kind of rooting the main thread of energy over these next 6 months for group 3? All right, so we have courage. I even said that earlier, allowing yourself to be brave enough and courageous enough to rise above the things that are holding you back, and the things that you know when you look in very deep into yourself that you want to be more courageous in. And I always see this as kind of like a snapshot to even jump through, and you're kind of seeing this as a snapshot, right? Like a mirror that you're looking in right now. And this is you. This is your courageous lion, looking you back and kind of looking you in the eyes and showcasing to you that you have the courage, you have the bravery. And courage just means, it doesn't necessarily mean that your fears aren't valid, that your fears moving away from whatever is comfortable isn't valid, because there's a reason for that, right? It's protected. It's something we've done before. It's something known. And the unknown, we don't know anything. But it's not to say that to be fearless or to get rid of the fear that you have, but courage is about rising above that fear, to pushing through that fear and kind of stepping through this glass and seeing what's on the other side, being tempted by it, being encouraged by it. So that is what I'm getting here so far. Let's go ahead and look into your next card. This one is from the Sea Melodies deck, and I felt called to pull this one out specifically from a message from your future self. And we'll look into a couple more of those cards here too, but this is a future self message. 6 months from now, your future higher self, what do they want to give you as a piece of direction? So I see this as them giving you a compass forward, something to kind of give you direction, to give you something to navigate with, a map or a compass of sorts. So what is that for you? Group 3. So we have perseverance, stay the course. So this could, like I said, you have 2 different options here. And so one course could send you here. One course could keep you comfortable. And neither of those are necessarily a bad thing. And I almost feel like your higher self is telling you that you can go either way. Both ways come with the difficulty of kind of having to be courageous and having to push through that fear. But the other way, yes, you do gain a lot of that comfort, but you also have to go through the adversity of having to kind of stick with something that maybe doesn't always resonate with you. So it's not a perfect path either way. And I feel like you're actually being told that your compass is going to come from within, and that your compass is going to come from persevering either through the discomfort or within the comfort. So that's what I'm getting there from your higher self, which is kind of one of those sort of sassier messages of like, it's up to you, which sometimes is annoying in a reading, but like I said, this is your future self, so it might just be something that can only be known through you. So let's go ahead and look into your next 2 messages. And these are the ones that I'm most curious with, because they're going to be very specific from your future self as well. And this first one is going to be looking into what it is that your future self would like to send you as a word of caution or something to avoid or think about a little bit further. And then the other one is going to be something that your future self is thanking you for, that is like, wow, thank you for finally doing that, or thank you for doing this thing. And we're going to look into both of those. But if you are enjoying this reading so far, I do want to mention this real quick. Definitely be sure to give this video a like. It really does help the channel so much. And as we go through it, what intuitive messages came out to you, you can let me know in the comments down below. But let's go ahead and see first what it is your future self is giving you as a word of caution. So let's see. All right, so we have the thistle. Let's look into your word of caution here in a second, but I want to see your other one. All right, well, first we're going to go for your first one. I was going to pull them both, but I was being kind of told off. So we're going to go into your future self. Has a bit of a, definitely a personality coming through here. But here we have the number 37. It's in the fall suit. So that being autumn. And then we also have, like I said, thistle. And whenever I see this one, it is talking about like the beauty. As much as a thistle is very beautiful, it also can cause us pain. It can hurt us, right? And as much as the lovers or even staying in your comfort zone, like I said, it has those pros and cons to it. And I think this is just reminding you that to release the idea that there's going to be a perfect path, that there's going to be one way that is going to be perfect for you. And the other thing that I'm getting here too is a word of caution to make sure that there aren't people in your life that are constantly, or situations in your life, doesn't have to necessarily be people, but that are a thistle in your foot, you know, like a little thorn in your foot from this thistle that you keep walking on and ignoring. So what is this thorn in your foot that even right now that you're being told to take off, to let go of, and to kind of pull out, because right now it's still weighing you down? And I think that your future self is just telling you the longer it takes for you to sort of lift some of these swords, to sort of lift some of this mental energy, to lift some of these scripts and things that you've been kind of molded into and forced into within society, within life, or within yourself, it's just going to fester, to get infected, to get worse and worse. So the faster and quicker that you notice and are aware of this, the better it'll be down the road. So now that we've talked about this, so let's go ahead and look into your other one. So what is your future self thankful and grateful for you of? For getting something done, for moving forward on, for reflecting on. What is your future self from 6 months from now wanting to thank you for? Okay, so I'm actually feeling this Lily of the Valley versus this citrus card, but I'll pull it up in case one of you wanted to look at it as well. It's the number 45 in the winter suit. But what I got here from Lily of the Valley is it usually talks about looking beyond the surface. It's kind of like don't judge a book by its cover, or don't judge someone by their very first meeting. And I think that you're being thanked to kind of look beyond yourself, to look beyond what you always think you've always seen in the mirror, and to see a new version of yourself, a more courageous version of yourself, because that's coming through as well. I always see this as like looking at those smaller details, seeing beyond the surface of the water and what lies beneath. And I think that your future self is telling you that there is a lot more that lies beneath you that is uncharted, that hasn't been unlocked because of staying in these comfort zones. We aren't able to grow near as much when we stay in that comfort zone. And your future self is giving you the permission to do so. So that's what I'm getting here from Lily of the Valley, is they're really thanking you for probably taking this path. But again, it's all up to you as they are showcasing here. So let's go ahead and see your charms here to finish off your reading. Actually, I just realized I forgot your affirmations. We'll do that first. So what is your affirmation? Group 3 for the next 6 months. Fell over here by the Lily of the Valley. And we got pay it forward. Interesting. That's a very different one. Not what I was expecting. Pay it forward. So maybe you've seen someone else in the past beyond their surface. And maybe someone else is going to pay forward that same viewpoint. So maybe I'm almost getting this feeling that there might be someone in your life who is more courageous because you gave them that new point of view of themselves. And I feel like there might be someone who wants to do the same for you. interesting one. Definitely see how that comes through for you. But let's go ahead and see your charms to finish off your reading here, and then we'll move on to your yes or no question. So definitely stay tuned and start thinking about what that yes or no question might be. So here we go, group 3, the next 6 months. All right, we've got quite a few here, but not too many. I'm going to zoom you in so you can see a little bit closer. So the ones we got here, we have the blue moon charm showing up over here on sort of the pinnacle of where you can make this change. And this change is only going to be a change that comes up once in a blue moon. So you might have opportunities and things that are going to come forward outside of your control that make you feel like you want to move forward towards this direction or this one. But this opportunity for change is going to be one that comes once in a blue moon, and it's really one to take by the reins and really go for, because it won't be here or lasting very long before you start to get too set on one path. So that's what I'm getting here from the blue moon charm. The other things that we have over here on the Lovers card is the freedom charm. So this is giving you more freedom going down that path. Towards lovers, towards the things that you really care and love. It also fell towards their foot, which is again the foundation of this change comes from freedom. You also got the black and white charm, which always makes me think that this is telling you that this is a very black and white thing. So it's something that this thistle, whatever this thorn in your foot is something that you're probably already aware of. And then you also got the opportunity for change showing up here with the butterfly. So again, to make that change there. Then over here on courage and next to perseverance, we have the this is a charm showcasing miscommunication or seeing things and not seeing the full picture, because for me personally, I can't read this language. So it's about not being able to say what you really mean, not being able to really understand the full picture yet. And that's probably going to be something you're going to be working through here in relation to the thistle, perseverance, and courage. And maybe it's that you don't see that you could even be courageous right now, that it feels so foreign to you. But the other thing we got here is fall in love, and that fell here next to the thistle and courage. So that might give you a little bit more information. But it is the fall in love charm. And it also does talk about the season of fall as well, which happens here again with thistle. So when you might be taking this thistle out or finally coming on the idea of moving towards a path, that might happen within the autumn or fall season. So that's something else to keep in mind. But those are all of your cards and charms, and we'll move on to your yes or no question here in a second, and I'll set that all up for you. But feel free to pause and see what you have come through here in case you want to look a little bit further. But I'll go ahead and set up your yes or no question. Alright, so I have it all set up here, and here is the charm that I'm going to go ahead and have you send in your question for. We're going to be looking into the collective message, so there's still room for change here. This isn't set in stone either, as always. Use this as a tool, but if you have your question, we're going to go ahead and cast this down. So here is the answer for the question of a yes or no question for group 3. So here we go, yes or no question, group 3. All right, so we have it, interestingly, falling on a moon, and it hit maybe here before it got there. So what I think is interesting is if it had something to do with a new beginning, because here is the new moon, I would say that it's definitely a maybe showing up here, or it's between maybe and no. It still has the opportunity for change because it's showing up here at the new moon. So that's what we got here. It's not a perfect answer, but we definitely have a maybe, but play around with this and see how it comes through for you most, or maybe even replay it and see how it works for you. But those are the charms, the cards, and all of the things for your 6 month ahead reading. If you did enjoy it, definitely be sure to give this video a like, and let me know in the comments down below how it resonated for you. I love hearing your thoughts, especially since this is such a long span of time. I'd be so curious to see what you all have to say. Also, if you want to stay in touch with these types of readings and really keep up to date as we move month to month to month to month, I put out new readings on this channel every single Monday, so you're able to stay up to date on those, and even up to the monthly readings that I put out every single month to stay up to date on this energy as we move forward through these next 6 months. But you can do that by subscribing, as I forgot to mention, but you can also do that through checking out the snail mail readings that I do down below in the description, as that's a great way for me to do a month to month to month reading if that's something you're interested in for a private reading. So if that is all, with all of that said, I do truly hope you enjoyed this reading. If you want to look even further, those private readings are down below, as well as all the other offerings that I do, and the Kindred tip jar, as it's a great way to really support financially this space. And I really do appreciate everyone who has used that and sent in a little bit to help along the way and it all goes back to the channel, so for this channel moving forward. So thank you to all the support, all the love, and I'm sending so much support and love back for your next 6 months, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.